Yo, what's up guys, welcome to the channel, and today I'm back again for another karting vlog. So today we are competing in the Pigeon Raceway IKR series once again. This is the summer series, so it will start in the winter sort of time and move on in towards summertime. So yeah, today obviously I will have brand new tyres on the kart, which will be quite interesting to say the least. To be fair, it was a bit of an up and down sort of day. We had some high moments and we had some low moments. But luckily we had a good friend of mine called Dave who came up and set up my kart really nicely for me and got it perfectly for me. So it was running really nicely. I will have to show you guys what happens during this vlog. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it and see how it goes then. We're back at Pigeon Raceway once again for round 1 of the IKR series. To be honest, I'm in a bit of a rush to make this intro because I'm literally getting ready, as you can see, about to go out on track for practice 1. So yeah, we'll jump straight into that. Apologise about the quick intro, but yeah, let's just jump straight into it and see how it goes then. So here we go for practice then. As you can see, I have actually strapped my GoPro onto my helmet just for practice. I did find it kind of got in the way of my visor a little bit, so I decided to not use it for the rest of the day. But I decided to use it just for practice. I'll put it back to its normal position on the radiator box for the races and qualifying. But here we go then, green flags here for practice 1 at Pigeon Raceway. As you can see, coming out of the pit lane, obviously with cold tyres, it's pretty difficult to say the least. The tyres I am using for practice 1 and practice 2 is my last season maxis, just for the fact that I don't want to use my new ones really in practice 1 and practice 2 and get them worn out before qualifying. So I decided to use these older tyres, which as you can see aren't really too great, to be honest. They're really worn. But nevertheless, we head on towards the chicane section for the first time. As you can see, just sliding around everywhere, just showing how dead these tyres are actually after 3 rounds of IKR. But as we send it in towards the sweeping right-hander, and now the final corner, again just sliding around there, just showing the tyres are completely destroyed. But now we head on to my fastest lap of practice 1 as we head down towards turn 1, taking it very tight and nicely there, just clipping the inside curb as we send it through the S's, once again hitting the curb very nicely, just sliding out towards the sausage curb. But again, a pretty decent exit nevertheless, in towards the hairpin section, just avoiding the apex there, which wasn't great, but we avoided bogging doing that and actually ran out very nicely, hitting the outside curb there, tucking it very nicely through the horseshoe section, sweeping my hander once again very nicely, taking it flat towards the final corner, just sliding there. That's where I lost kind of a bit of time really, probably about a tenth or two, but we finished the lap now, and that was a 36.8 lap time. And then we cut to a couple laps there where once again I'm just sliding all over the place, just showing that these tyres are completely done for, and I cannot wait to jump on my new maxi tyres for qualifying. But nevertheless, we come across the line now to finish practice 1, and that is it then. Showing the setup was pretty good even with the dead tyres, so I'll take that any day of the week. But yeah, I think we'll probably change the tyre pressures just a little bit because I really struggled with warming the tyres up at the beginning. But other than that, the setup was absolutely perfect. So now we move on to qualifying. Alright guys, so about to go for qualifying now. Practice 1, a bit of understeer, or oversteer issues I should say. Practice 2 was perfect. Sadly though, I had a transponder issue. So yeah, I have got a new one though, set up on the kart now. So hopefully it'll go all good. Setup's feeling great, better than ever before. So hopefully we're to have a banger in qualifying. This is it then, qualifying time for IKR round 1 of the summer series. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get better than what I did in both practice 1 and practice 2, obviously, because I got brand new tyres. I've changed the tyre pressures just a little bit, so I'm hoping it will be a massive difference and I will manage to do a lot better. As we head out of the pace, obviously everyone is sliding because they're all on brand new tyres now, and I'm trying to chuck it in a little bit just to try and get tyre warmth as quickly as possible. My tyre pressures are quite low, so they should warm up pretty quickly. As you can see there, Louise from LPR goes massively wide, and I actually try and get around her and actually go a little bit wide understeering there because of the cold tyres, and just tap her just a little bit. Luckily neither of us got damage, which is good. But nevertheless, we head on for our first hot lap. Sadly, it did get compromised by yellow flags because of that guy stopped in the middle. And then once again through S's there was another compromise because someone's tyre flew off through the S's. So yeah, the first 4 laps or so was just me having to go as slowly as possible because of yellow flags, but luckily they got cleared up pretty quickly and I managed to start pushing again. And as you can see here, really throwing it through the horseshoe section very nicely. And now we will cut on to my fastest lap, which was lap 9 of qualifying, as we start the lap now, run down towards turn 1, taking it very nicely, just hitting the inside curb there. Now through the S's, really throwing it into the curbs there, run out as much as possible, run out nice and wide as close to that sausage curb as possible, but not hitting it, down towards the hairpin section, taking it very nicely, run out very nicely there as well. Got no bogging at all through the hairpin, through the horseshoe, very nice there, just avoiding the 2 curb section. You don't want to hit that at all, taking it flat through that kink section. And the final corner, I did ruin it just a little bit by hitting the inside curb, which wasn't great, but nevertheless we crossed the line, and that was a 35.5, which is a very good lap time and my new personal best around here. We did get a couple other laps that we tried to push for, but it wasn't quite as quick as that other lap, which was a bit of a shame because I really could have done better, about a 10th or 2 if I didn't mess up the final corner. But nevertheless, that was the end of qualifying, and we did have P8 at this point, but sadly someone just jumped me on the final lap, so it is P9 out of 16, which is a very good effort I think. But yeah, I think it could have been maybe P8 or P7 at max if I didn't mess up that final corner. But nevertheless, we head back into the pits and have to weigh up obviously after qualifying, and now we get ready for heat 1. So now we jump straight into heat 1, and as you can see, because we're starting 9th, we're actually on the inside in towards turn 1, which could help us out massively here if we can get a good start and try and jump a few people. But as we try and warm up the tyres in towards turn 1, as you can see once again I'm getting more aggressive on the wheel to try and get heat into the tyres. I managed to find tyre pressure settings that I really preferred actually and really enjoyed, so I was using them for the rest of the day after I figured that out in practice too. But now as we get ready to start the race then for heat 1, I am going to flip open the little flap for the radiator box and we go green here at Pigeon Raceway for heat 1 as we run down towards turn 1, really trying to keep the inside line here as I'm going to try and keep as close to car 11. He spins and actually gets taken out there, so now we're going to try and keep this position here. Someone actually spins just ahead of me. I try and go around the outside and I actually go straight into the back of him, which is a massive shame there. We've got major damage to the rear axle and the front steering rod, as you can see, and a little bend in the steering column, which is a massive shame. So that's my race straight away over, and I'm going to have to come into the pit sadly. So we're just going to quickly take a slow motion of this. As you can see, I thought he was going to go for the inside, so I tucked to the outside, and he actually flings back to the outside, so sadly I go straight into him, and that's my race over in that one crash. So now we head back into the pits then, sadly ending heat 1 in a massive disappointment, but now I guess we have to be prepared for the pre-final. So guys, obviously I had a bit of a crash in that last one, as you know from the GoPro footage. Not great, but we have to do better. Obviously starting dead last in the pre-final, so hopefully we can try and go up from here. On the kart, we bent a steering rod, had to get that changed. Bent the rear axle, had to get that changed. So yeah, now we are all good and ready to go. So let's do this. So here we go for the pre-final then. Obviously after last race I really didn't want to have another crash and damage my car again. So I was thinking, right, since a lot of people seem to struggle in towards turn 1, I'm actually going to take it a little bit more easy this time and see if anyone else spins, so I can try and make up positions that way, and then I'll try and make some overtakes during the race. As you can see, coming out the pits, someone actually got stuck, so we did get held up, but luckily we caught up just before the race started, so that's not too bad. But as we go, green lights here at Pigeon Raceway for the pre-final then, as we come in towards turn 1, This time we're going to take it easier than last time, as we just go nice and slowly in towards turn 1, just keep on the back of kart 17 here. And as you can see, absolutely no one spins this time, which is just my luck. So that's just great to say the least. But nevertheless, we still have a chance. We still got to try and battle then. But as you can see, there's no move here, because both the LPR drivers, Louise and Luke, are going side by side into the hairpin, which is a bit annoying because I wanted to try and move, but sadly I couldn't. Luke made the move on Louise there. So now we need to try and get around Louise as quickly as possible. But straight away I was noticing she was going very defensive into every corner. As you can see here, she heads in towards the final corner. So I don't think this is going to be very easy at all. As you can see, once again, just she's taking it very defensive. So it's going to be difficult to try and get around. And I'm going to try and send it here as we head in towards the hairpin section. But she just shuts the door on me. So sadly I just can't make a move stick. But once again, the pack is starting to pull away, and she's kind of holding me up here, so I need to try and get around really now or never, because I'll never be able to catch up to the others if I don't. But nevertheless, she defends very well as she's going defensive once again in towards turn 2 and through the S's, as I'm taking it way more aggressively. As you can see, my exit was a lot more smoother and a lot more better, but I just could not find a way around, because every time I had an opportunity, she just went defensive. So her defensive skills were very good, but obviously that was hindering my race, because I just could not get around her, and we were losing touch of the other cars that were starting to pull away here. So really I just need to try and send it at some point. But after that crash last race, I was just slightly worried about damaging the car again, that I really didn't want to just send it and do it again. But as you can see, I do get a little bit of a run, but once again she takes the inside line, so I just cannot get around. And obviously her exit speed was still pretty decent, as good as mine, so I just could not get that exit speed either, even though she was going defensive. But yeah, I was just basically following throughout the race, just following nose to tail, hoping that she would make a mistake and go a little bit wide somewhere. But every time I made a mistake, she would sort of make a mistake as well, and it was just kind of a bit of a pain. As you can see, once again trying to send it, but she just goes defensive once again. So yeah, I think at this point it's basically just going to be wait for a mistake, and hopefully it will happen soon. But at the moment it's not looking very likely, as we skip to the S's. Once again, as you can see, I'm just getting so much more of a better exit, but I just cannot get around her because she goes defensive in towards the hairpin section. The main overtaking points, she hogs the inside line, so I just cannot get around. And as you can see, we are slowly starting to catch up with the other guys just ahead here. But really I need to try and get around her to try and get around the other guys as well if I want to have a chance. But at the moment it's just looking very difficult, to say the least, as she actually got a pretty decent exit there compared to me, so it was a bit equal, so I didn't really have a chance there. But out of the hairpin I did get a bit of a better exit, but again she had the inside line, so I just could not send it around the outside because there was no way that was working. But now we are going to come around through the final corner once again and try and get a good exit once again. As you can see, I do get a bit of a better run, so I'm going to try and go around the outside of the king section, but still that's just not going to work, which is a massive pain to say the least. And as you saw there, this is the final lap of the race now, so really if I want to get the move done and start ahead of her in the final, I need to make the move now or never. As you can see, I'll try and go around the outside, but as you can see, it just does not work, and I bog out of the hairpin, and that sadly ruined any chance of me getting past her before the end of this race. So yeah, sadly it is P15 in the pre-final, so second to last. The only person I beat was a DNF, so massive shambles to say the least. But nevertheless, I guess we still got the final where we can try and make it up, but it's not going to be easy whatsoever after seeing Louise's defending skills. Right guys, so pre-final, not great, not gonna lie. Bit of a shambles. Kind of got stuck behind, well, Louise in LPR. She had some great defending, to be fair. There was no way I was getting through. I did try to stick my nose in just a little bit, but there was no chance. So we just have to go into the final and hopefully do a lot better. So yeah, the setup's all good. Obviously, we've got new rims. Forgot to mention that earlier, which is nice. Setup's all good. Obviously, got all the stuff replaced that we damaged. So yeah, now we just need to jump into the final and hopefully do a lot better and see where we can finish. So here we go then, the final for IKR round 1 at Pigeon Raceway. Obviously I want to do a lot better than what I did in the pre-final and heat 1, So far it's been a bit of a bad day in the races. Practicing and qualifying was perfect, so yeah, I just really want to do better in this final, try and make up for it. But here we go then. We go green here in the final, and we get a pretty decent start, trying to sit on the back of Kart 26 once again. We're going to go a bit more aggressive in towards turn 1 this time, send it down inside Louise, end up crashing and spinning around. And that is it, basically over for me. And we're actually going to check it from my helmet cam. As you can see, I have a pretty decent start, try and sit on the back. Louise goes through the kink, slows down a bit, so I go down the inside. I don't get left a massive amount of space. Obviously when I hit the brake, the back end kicks out and my rear hits the back of her kart, and then we both end up spinning around, and sadly we take Kart 26 with us as we hit the brakes there, which is a massive shame. I really apologise to, well, Louise and Kart 26 for that, because I did send it a bit, but I mean, I could have been left with a bit more space, but it is what it is. What I was a little bit annoyed with as well, as you can see there's yellow flags on the right there, but Louise just overtakes me there through the yellow flags, and those yellow flags were out because someone spun through the S's there, and she continues to overtake Kart 26 and then the guy who's just recovered back out on track. Luckily, Kart 26 gets back around her, but sadly I'm in the same position as what I was in the pre-final, stuck behind her. So at this point I was thinking, should I just give up? As you can see, my bumper is bouncing around there because it's actually dropped down. So I was thinking, should I just give up here or should I just carry on? I was actually trying to point out my bumper to the marshals on the side just to see if they black flagged me or mechanical flagged me for it. But they didn't do anything, and I thought, you know what, screw it, let's just continue on. I know it's a bit risky and it could be a bit of a crash if it comes off, but I think it's pretty securely on even though it is moving, so I carried on then. And now we're going to try our utmost best to try and get past Louise and maybe Kart 26 as well. As you can see, Kart 26 is giving Louise the same treatment she was in the pre-final, so maybe this could be my chance to get around, well, one of them at least. So as you can see, we go into turn 1 here and she goes a bit deep, so I'm going to use that as my opportunity to send it down the inside into the S's. She tried to keep it around the outside, but since I had that inside, I made the move stick very nicely. It was quite an aggressive move and she tried to keep it around the outside, which I haven't actually seen anyone try and do, but luckily I made the move stick very nicely. And we will check back on the helmet cam just to see that move through there as well. So we send it down the inside, try and take the inside line very nicely, very aggressively, have a slight bit of contact, but we made the move stick very nicely, and luckily neither of us spun either, which is good news as well. And now we will cut back onto the radiator camera on the kart, and we're trying to chase down Kart 26 now, so hopefully we will try and get him even quicker than what we did with Louise. Obviously Kart 26 was the guy we were racing last round and really got blocked up by him as well, but hopefully we can try and get around him even quicker this time as we send it in towards the chicane section once again. Sadly I'm just a little too far behind, but the next lap I do get a much better exit out of the chicane section, get a little bit of slipstream and send it down the inside of him into the hairpin section. Quite an aggressive move, and we do run him out wide a little bit on the exit, and he actually bogs out of there, so just showing I got a much better exit. And I made the move stick on him very nicely, which I'm very happy with. So now we've made 2 moves in the final, which is a lot better than what we did in the pre-final. And at this point I can see to my left that I was getting blue flagged. It's just a standing still blue flag, which means that lap cars are catching up. But here on the right you can see that the blue flag is actually waving, and that means a lap car is trying to overtake. So what I did is I went into the chicane section, and on the exit of the chicane I pointed over to let them through, and I realised it wasn't him, it was actually Louise sending it down the inside of me, which I was a little bit annoyed with, especially that it's blue flags and she should be obliging by the blue flags as well, just like I did, to try and let the lap car through. Obviously at this point I thought, right, well clearly they've got something wrong, so I started pushing on to try and get back past her because I was a little bit annoyed at this point, and I decided to go a lot more aggressive this time because of me losing a position for nothing, and I was still getting blue flags, so clearly first place was behind me. But if she's not obliging by blue flags, clearly then I shouldn't be. So I was trying to get around her as best as possible. I send it down the inside of her into the hairpin section, a very aggressive move, and she tries a switchback and I send it back down the inside into the horseshoe. We make a little bit more contact, and obviously this time I try and go around the outside, but she gets around me, and then the guy in first actually laps me, and she's still blocking up first place. And I was a little bit annoyed about that because obviously I tried to oblige by the blue flag rules and clearly she didn't, and I actually lost out for it, and that is the end of the race. So she didn't even end up getting lapped, and I did, so she got another lap and obviously beat me, which I was slightly annoyed about. And we'll just see it from my helmet cam as well as we head in towards the chicane section. Obviously you saw the blue flag there. I move over to the side, point over, then I see it's her trying to overtake me, so obviously I go back to racing speed to try and defend off her and try and keep my position, because obviously if she's not obliging by blue flag rules, then are we meant to be obliging by blue flag rules or not? I don't really get what she's doing here, so I go a lot more aggressive, obviously try and send it down the inside of her in towards the hairpin section, try and get back past her, and obviously she's just fighting back very aggressively. We make a little bit of contact at this point, and obviously that is what caused me to lose a lot of speed, and then eventually first place gets past me, and she then continues to block up first place through the final corner. But obviously because this is the final lap, she gets away with it, and I actually finish a lap down, which I was slightly annoyed with. But now we head back into the pits, and we are going to get weighed up obviously because it is the final. And I had a bit of a bad day, so I didn't really think it could get any worse at this point until we come up to get weighed in at the weigh bridge, where obviously we're going to switch over to the helmet cam now, and as you can see, I actually am underweight.
Oh. Yeah.
I was 0.3 kilos off the required weight, and I never took any weights off, always kept the same weights on, so I don't really know how that happened, but yeah. Just another thing sadly, and as you can see, just by Sam touching my front bumper there, how loose it actually was.
So boys, we're just at a fuel station right now, just getting some fuel. But yeah, pretty interesting day. Wasn't the best, to be honest, had a lot of incidents. Bit of a shame, but the setup was perfect. Massive shout out to Dave, who managed to set up my car for me perfectly. But yeah, I guess I'll leave this video here. Hopefully we'll do a lot better next time, and try and push a little bit more next time, and not getting as many incidents as we did today. But thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.